Hi teachers, Sharon here from Teacher Time Machine, and today we're going to talk assessment. How can we take our existing resources that you got in your unit plan? So for example, if you took advantage and you downloaded the free sampler we sent out, you got all kinds of lesson plans and you do have formative assessment already built in. But let's say that you wanted to create some other assessments or questions for your students to answer, things like that. Well, let's dive in and see how to do that. So when I come to the site, the first place I'm going to go is the dashboard, and then I'm going to go to the shared library first. And I'm going to go filter this, and I'm going to go just find some of those so that I can check and make absolute sure what my outcomes are. So I'm going to go to lesson plan here, and I'm going to go to grade 4. And that brings up all of those lessons. There we go. So let's say that I'd like to take one of those lessons. Yeah, I'm going to choose this one right here, week 1, lessons 1 and 2, introduction to colonization. I'm just going to open it up for a minute, just going to double check. I'm just going to preview it right here. That's going to tell me, okay, students examine the significant events and colonization involved European Marnix expanding. So that's the knowledge right there. And so there I am with my learning outcomes. Okay, out of that for a minute, but we're going to remember that that is readily available for me in my library. All right, so let's head on to the creation zone. Let's say we wanted to create a set of questions. Now it could be for a test, it could be for oral questions, it could be for an interview, or it could be to just, something for my students to get a little bit more idea of them answering questions. How would they answer the questions? So it could be work related too. So I'm going to load, I have already created a class profile that brings in my grade 4 social optional implementation, and it's not really that optional anymore, is it? We have to do it. So we should probably relabel that. But here I am in the test designer, and first thing I'm going to do is go and make sure that I'm referencing that lesson plan right there. So I'm going to go attach that, and what I have to just do is, did you see how we got that from the public library? I'll just go grab it from the shared library. So I'm going to say, so I'm just going to type in the word colonization, and that's going to bring up all of these colonization resources. And I'm going to go find the one that I'm looking for, which was this one right here. So remember that? It was in there, and I'm going to attach that. Okay, so now it's going to use those first 2 lessons as the basis for this question set. Now I'm going to go and add a question set. Okay, now I can get really specific here with my outcomes. So I'm going to go and choose basically those are what I'm going to focus on for this. Now I could add some additional information here if I wanted a source. Now a picture, an image, a reading passage, something like that, then that would only be for this one set. But the other one that we attached, that lesson plan, those lesson plans, those are like a global thing for the entire test. So it's always going to reference them because we put that and attached it to this process. So just to understand and clarify that, I'm not going to put anything in here right now, but you can certainly play with that and add what you would like if you have additional instructions. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's just make some multiple choice questions here. We're going to do depth of knowledge 1, and I want 2 of those. I'm going to add that to my blueprint. Then multiple choice again, but I want to balance this out, depth of knowledge 2, and I'll have 2 of those. And then let's make sure it's all evenly spread, and we're going to put 2 at depth of knowledge 3. Then I just want actually to create some short answer questions for my students. So I'm going to have a depth of knowledge 2, and I want 2 of those. And let's go a little deeper with this. I want some short answer depth of knowledge 3 questions, and I want 2 of those. And so now I've got what I want. Now I have a variety of different types that I could do, right? So matching, long answer, short answer, true, false. So I'm happy with what I have though, so I'm going to go ahead and save. Now I could add another question set, but I'm not wanting to. I just want a quick little set of questions just to, see where are they. Okay, I'm actually probably going to use this as a formative assessment. As a quick check. I might even use it as interview questions. Okay, now with our questions chosen and all blueprinted, and let's generate the questions. Now, I forgot to say how to use that file, so I need to do that. So I'm going to say use these lessons as the basis for all questions. Okay, generate those questions. Okay, so here we are back, and the questions have come in, and I now, as the teacher, I'm going to go through and vet these questions. Now, sometimes these questions might be really great, and I want to save them. It's easy to do that, so I'm going to save them into my assets. The one thing about Teacher Time Machine is you can save images and questions and things like that as assets, and then, as you saw before, you can remix them back into other things. So if you want to keep this question, just hit that little save button, and now that question is in your assets. Okay, what does colonization mean? I'm going to go through. I'm just going to approve these questions. I hope you're going to do a much better job of actually reading them. I'm just quickly showing you how. So there we have the questions that I want. And if I have a short answer question, then I can choose to create a rubric for that. So I can create a 4-point rubric, and I could say I want 2 categories of the curriculum, and then I can decide here, look at these 3 words, empire, colony, explain how these words are connected. I actually might want no space there, like I might want no lines after that so that I could draw a Venn diagram or something like that. If I wanted it to be lined though, then according to age, I'm going to choose single space, interlined, or double spaced, and depending on the age of my students, right? So I'm going to choose no lines for that one because I think it's most appropriate for being able to really dive in and draw some maps and things like that. Here it's asking you to what's one important thing on the map might not show. Okay, well I probably have to explain that. So I'm just going to do this as a 1-point rubric and 2 categories. No, actually just 1 category. And I want some single-spaced lines there. Actually, this is only grade 4. I'm going to make those double-spaced. Okay, and so here, why is it important? Again, well, I think that's we could dive into that one. So I'm going to just choose double-spaced again and approve that question. And here, this one is very similar to this one. Information. Yeah, this is just too similar, so I'm going to leave that out totally. And now I'm going to go and generate that test. Okay, now that it's titled, I'm going to go and generate the test. Okay, so now that that's all generated, I'm going to go to my work page. And there is my test, Intro to Colonization. And I have absolutely everything. I've got all the rubrics, I've got the blueprint for the test, I've got the outcome analysis, and I've got the test. So let's just take a quick look at them, shall we? There's my test. Again, it is formatted for you. It's formatted to reduce eye fatigue, things like that. Best principles of test design. There it is. And there's the double-spaced lines that I chose. And this one I chose to have it, no lines at all. So that's great. These ones have the double spaced. There's my answer sheet and my answer key, and we're good to go. All right, so that's the test part. You also get a outcome analysis right here. We're going to just take a look at that. And on here you get the lessons, and then you get an outcome analysis that says, okay, this was a depth of knowledge 1 question. It hits these outcomes. It was designed for that. And these are the questions over on the side. So everything again is mapped and aligned for you, and you know clearly where your students are. That is nice to have. Now, you've also got all your rubrics. So let's take a look at one of those. Here's a 4-point rubric with your I can statements right there, and all your GLOs and SLOs right there. And so, yeah, you can make that bigger so you can have a good look. Nice. Okay, and I'm gonna go here. All right, and now as always, any of these you can share to the library by doing this. If you really like this test, you think others would benefit from having access to those questions, then please share it to the library, and that way it will be in there and easily accessed by others. They can build upon that test. So just like you used the lesson plan that was in the shared library to build this test in just a few minutes, you can now take that test, save it in the shared library. Others can take those questions and build off of them too. This is how we collaborate with each other and learn from each other and build upon great work of others. All right. Now, again, just going to go back to those assets and just show you again here. Remember that question that we saved to our assets? There it is. And so I just want to share this with you, a great way to actually come back in, make worksheet questions, or quick multiple choice quiz, or just questions that you want to have a conversation with your students about. You want some great questions that you actually know the level of those questions toward the learning outcome, then we've got you covered. All right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.